Drum roll. Yay, everything lights up. Now that we have our parts, I reprinted them in all black and made it slightly longer. We're gonna go ahead and start the wiring process. So I have 4 of these panels that I need to wire up. 2 of them are gonna be yellow and 2 of them are gonna be red. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel off one side. So I have a pile of LEDs here, and without going into too much detail because we already have a wiring tutorial, I'm gonna split this into even groups of 4. So I'm gonna cut this right in half, and it's basically gonna be groups of 4 like this. I'm gonna connect all the LEDs in the middle, and that's gonna be my power, and then the edges are gonna be ground. And the long side, which is the positive side, are all gonna face towards the middle. And I'm basically just gonna do that for these panels. And for those who are like casual builders, the nice thing about building these lights is it's a great way to kill time when you're watching TV or something. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and put all the LEDs in. So I've now put the LEDs all in. You can kind of see all of them point towards that middle line. I did 2 of them. These are both red. So now I'm gonna actually go ahead and fold all the LED pins at the very ends. I'm basically wiring each LEDs into groups of series of 4, and each series of 4 is getting wired in parallel with each other. So if you ever took your physics class in elementary school, then you should understand kind of a little bit of what I'm saying. It's very cold, I can't feel my fingers. If you like and subscribe this video, maybe we'll have enough money to get an insulated shop. Currently, I'm just bending the LED pins down, the ones that I'm keeping specifically, so I don't, send pins flying. But I'm gonna probably cut about 1/3 of the way up. Okay, so now I'm gonna bend all these LED pins together. I'm not gonna bend these 2 middle ones because I'm actually gonna put my resistor there. Some of these LED pins are a little too long, so I'm gonna cut them shorter. But basically, you do not want the LED pin to extend past the next LED. It looks like I might need to cut some of these shorter, which is okay. You would rather cut everything too long than too short. So now we're gonna go ahead and do the next one before we start soldering, yeah. So I've gone ahead and finished doing the cutting and snipping and folding for the reds and the yellows. So these are the yellows. So now we're gonna do the resistors. For the resistors, we do have resistor slips that we include in every DIY kit if you do get it. So for this, we're gonna actually wire these for 14 volts. And I'm doing groups of 4. So I'm gonna be using 470 ohm resistors. I don't wanna run an auxiliary voltage regulation device. I would rather just overcompensate for the voltage of the car. If you wanna play it safe, you can use a regulation module, but I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 470 ohm resistors. And the process for this is pretty simple. We're going to, if you watched our other tutorials, you kind of see how it works. I've left these pins up so I can wrap a resistor around them. It does not actually matter which resistors in the series of 4 do you use. I just use the middle to make it look nice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my resistor in between these 2, and I'm basically just gonna wrap them around 2 or 3 times like that. And then I'm just gonna get my pliers and then push everything down like that. Fold the LED pins over, and then I'm just gonna snip off the excess. And that gives me an LED pin or a little corner joint that is ready to solder. And why I like doing it this way is it gives us a mechanical connection where the LED pins are wrapped around the LED joint, and the solder will also help reinforce it. So it makes the risk of breakage very low. But we can fast forward this part, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that for every single resistor. So now that everything's done, it should be pretty good. I recommend doing it in this order because it's like an assembly line. So now everything's good. I just gotta solder it. So I have my soldering iron, and I have my solder. I'm gonna go ahead and solder everything. Now everything's kind of soldered together. I need to connect these two grounds together to bridge them together. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some scrap wire I have, but I'm using a red wire and bridge it right here. So now we're gonna test it. So we test at 12 volts just to play it safe. Technically this can handle 14, but does not matter. Drum roll. Yay, everything lights up. So this is a course of motion dimming module. This is what's gonna give me that dimming functionality that I want out of my taillights. So this end goes to the taillight harness, this end goes to the LEDs. I'm gonna wire these according to basically how I tested it in the lights. I'm gonna go ahead and like that. Like that, right there. And if I do white input is gonna be my dim. So this is dim, and this is brake. So there, you get what I'm saying? So this is my DRL and this is my brake. Just to give you a quick preview for the next part, if we assemble everything, this little red lens presses in nicely. This goes in the back. And remember, the reason why this isn't an enclosure is because the tail light is the enclosure. So the tail light's what helps seals everything. So I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's my assembly. And okay, so now that wiring is completed, I've gone ahead and glued all my panels in place using my handy dandy trusty shoe glue. I've got the red lenses and the yellow lenses together, and now we're gonna start doing the mock-up and assembly. We're gonna try and keep this OEM like reflector center just because it helps hide the rest, because if you look at just putting this rectangle in, it's not gonna fully cover and it's gonna look kind of weird. So I would like to ideally have it look like this, just to hide a little bit of the roughness on the edges. I'm probably gonna go with smoked. But we'll see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a hole so I can put my wiring through here, and then make sure that this insert piece doesn't conflict with my lenses, which I believe it currently does because it hits on the top. So I might need to actually cut this area out to help recess it, or I might just decide to not use it at all. I'm trying to decide what I like better. Do I like this better? And just maybe put a backing plate behind everything. Use that reflector backing. I'm actually gonna just go ahead and laser cut myself a couple of square backing plates to help hide everything. And then I'm just gonna go from there. It's 84, sorry. Basically, we took our R33 DIY kit, which has already measured those circle sizes, and we're gonna cut an 85 millimeter, 85 by 85 square out of the center of it. We're gonna cut 4 of those. That way it can fit over it. Then we can nicely put it on and I'll cover the back. So Tate, go ahead and cut this for me. I'm gonna make sure it fits like that. Perfect. Perfect. So we can go ahead and glue this. I'm just gonna make sure that this 82 fits in here as well. And it does. So we're good, we're chilling. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this and glue it together. And so what I'm gonna do, I don't wanna show it on camera because it's kind of boring, but I'm gonna go ahead and glue this together. Obviously peel off the backing paper, and I'm gonna glue it into this area, making sure that everything's kind of symmetrical and aligned properly. And the next shot you should hopefully see is we're gonna put the lens back on, put everything back together, and install in the car.
Do you want those custom mods? We do it for anything you try. You want your ride to turn heads? This is where it comes alive. If you can imagine it, we can create it. Nothing is impossible with illumaesthetic.